What if I told you a single pre-dawn military strike could spike your gas prices, move your stock portfolio, increase your taxes, and possibly reshape global power for the next decade? In the early hours of the morning, the United States and Israel launched massive coordinated strikes on Iran's missile and nuclear infrastructure. And then came the shockwave. News came that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed during the operation. Negotiations collapsed, oil surged, airports shut down, markets reacted. But here's the real question. Is this about security, or is this about regime change? And what does this mean for you financially? Today, on Truth and Triumph, we're breaking down why this happened, the economic fallout, the Supreme Court tariff ruling the new 10% global import duty, and how all of this quietly affects your wallet. Stay till the end, because the last section might change how you see global politics and personal finance forever. Let's start with the facts. The US and Israel launched coordinated pre-dawn strikes targeting Iranian missile facilities, nuclear development infrastructure, military command locations. The official reason? Iran's expanding missile program and nuclear capabilities. But beneath that, nuclear negotiations had broken down. Diplomatic talks stalled. Sanctions weren't shifting behavior. Tensions escalated. And then, the strikes. President Trump framed it as a decisive move for security. But reports suggest something deeper, a push toward regime change, meaning not just stopping weapons, but destabilizing leadership at the top. The reported death of Supreme Leader Khamenei signals something massive. When a nation's highest authority is removed, it creates internal power struggles, military unpredictability, economic uncertainty, regional destabilization. This isn't just military action, it's geopolitical shock therapy. Now here's where it affects you. Immediately after the strikes, oil prices surged. Major airports in Dubai and Qatar faced disruptions. Airlines rerouted flights. Global markets reacted with volatility. Why? Because Iran sits near the Strait of Hormuz. Roughly 20% of global oil supply passes through that region. Any instability there equals oil panic. And when oil rises, gas prices rise, shipping costs rise, food prices rise, inflation pressures rise. Now let's connect the dots. Higher oil leads to higher transport, leads to higher consumer prices. You may not see missiles, but you'll feel it at the pump. Inside America, two major things happened during conflict escalation. One, increased military spending, defense budgets expand. Weapons manufacturing increases, federal spending rises. Short-term, defense stocks benefit. Long-term, taxpayer burden increases. Two, risk of retaliation. Cyber attacks, proxy strikes, energy infrastructure threats. Markets hate uncertainty, and uncertainty drives volatility. If you're 18 to 35 building wealth, volatility can either be opportunity or destroy unprepared investors. The difference? Understanding macroeconomics. Now here's something most people heard about, but didn't fully understand. The Supreme Court recently addressed executive authority over tariffs. Translation? It reinforced that the president has broad powers under trade law to impose tariffs in the name of national security. And now, a proposed or enacted 10% global import duty on many foreign goods is shaking markets. Why would the US do this during global tension? 3 reasons. Protect domestic manufacturing, reduce dependency on geopolitical rivals, increase federal revenue. But tariffs are tricky. A tariff is basically a tax on imported goods. Companies importing products pay more. They often pass that cost to consumers. So if you buy electronics, clothing, car parts, appliances, prices can rise. Pros: encourages domestic production, can create American manufacturing jobs, reduces trade deficits, strengthens national security supply chains. Cons: higher consumer prices, potential retaliation from other countries, trade wars, inflation pressure if oil is already rising, and tariffs raise import costs. That's a double inflation squeeze. This is how geopolitics enters your grocery bill. Let's zoom out. If you're between 15 and 40, this is the most important part. When global conflict rises, oil volatility increases, inflation risks increase, government spending increases, interest rate pressure may return. Here's what smart financial thinkers watch. Energy sector trends, defense stocks, short-term cycles, inflation data, Federal Reserve responses. But here's the bigger principle. You don't control geopolitics. You control positioning. In times of tension, avoid emotional investing. Diversify assets. Build emergency savings. Watch debt exposure. Tariffs plus war tension equals cost of living pressure. If your income doesn't rise with inflation, your purchasing power shrinks. This is why financial literacy is national security for your household. If this continues, here's what 2026 could look like. Let me make this real. Imagine it's 12 months from now. It's 2026. The conflict didn't explode into world war, but tensions never fully cooled down. Oil stabilized, but at a higher level. Tariffs stayed in place. Defense spending increased. Now what does everyday life look like? Gas averages $5 to $6 in several states. Shipping costs remain elevated. That $1,200 laptop? Now $1,350. Car insurance rises because parts cost more to import. Air travel becomes slightly more expensive due to fuel costs. Groceries tick up slowly, not dramatically, but consistently. Now here's the key part. Nothing collapses, but everything feels tighter. This is how economic pressure actually works in modern America. Not through sudden collapse, through slow squeeze. And here's what most people miss. When governments increase military spending and impose tariffs, money has to come from somewhere. It comes from taxes, borrowing, inflation. If borrowing increases, national debt rises. If inflation rises, your savings lose silent value. If taxes increase, disposable income shrinks. This is why young Americans must think differently. Was this strike purely defensive, or strategic reshaping of Middle East power? If regime change is the goal, the economic ripple effects may last years. Oil routes, trade alliances, military budgets, tariff structures. This isn't just about Iran, it's about America redefining global leverage, economic decoupling, supply chain nationalism, and when big nations reposition, markets realign. Here's the truth. War headlines create fear. Tariff headlines create confusion. But underneath all of it, there are systems. Energy systems, trade systems, financial systems. If you understand the system, you don't panic inside it. The strikes may reshape geopolitics. Tariffs may reshape trade, but your advantage comes from awareness. That's what truth and triumph is about. Not noise, not panic, but clarity. If you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe, because we decode global events into personal financial intelligence. And in uncertain times, clarity is power.